Hi, everyone. Wait, I'm not ready yet. Just kidding. I forgot to get water. Hi, everyone. Hi, for real. Hi, Mirror. Hi, Silas. Hi, Huggy. How is everyone doing? We're so back. We're so unbelievably back that we're streaming again. That's how back I am, and that's unbelievable. Yeah. So today we are streaming more Umineko when they cry. We are on part 9. We are going to get through this in the next 5 years. I promise. We're going to get through Umineko. Hi. You can use the hammer and sickle one, right? Oh, not like you have to look it up in the what is it called? Like the symbols. Like I don't think there's an emote for it. There's an emoji for it, but like there is a symbol, right? Yeah, preemptive tactical water break. Yeah, because like it's gonna be a lot of reading, and I know I'm gonna get thirsty. You know how it is. I should also remember that I have these cough drops from the karaoke. You know how like at karaoke places they give you a ton of cough drops that don't taste very good? Uh, well, I have that to help me, so well, I'm really excited. Um, but yeah, thinking my order. Yeah, we're so back. I barely remember what we were doing, but that's what my beautiful notes are for, right? Like, I was like, oh, yeah, the damn key. So true. The keys is, like, insider knowledge. Damn, like, I forgot about that. That's why I have in my beautiful notes. So, let me see. Let's go to the menu. Um, start. Load. Wow, January 24th? How many months has it been? It's been 3 months since I last played Umineko? This is so bad. Communism is when the government steals my teddy bear or something? Yeah, we don't only have to learn about that in my country. Yeah, it's when they, like, kill landlords. Oh, fuck! Why is Battler losing heart? Can I scroll back a little bit? Yeah, something had gone insane since yesterday, but like, where is he? Where is he? Is he just like in his head? Right, it's like a locked room and shit. Okay, yeah. Okay. We're inside Battler's beautiful mind. As I started losing heart, I began to recall a memory from when I was small. It was from when I was very young. I had unfortunately seen a scary occult movie on TV, and for a while, I hadn't even been able to go to the bathroom by myself. That old bastard gave an exaggerated laugh and said this. Hey, Battler! Why do you think they go to all the trouble to make movies like this about demons and the occult and such? It's because they don't exist. Something that ridiculous can't be found anywhere on the planet. Because they don't exist, people want to see them and go to a lot of effort making them. That's why those occult movies just make me laugh. If I were forced to choose, I'd say, rather than demons and monsters, this year's earnings call and angry wives are 100 million times scarier. I'll go further, okay? From my point of view, getting scared is a recreational emotion. Something for people who've got room to relax both in their hearts and their lifestyles. They had so much free time, they didn't know what to do with it. So in order to entertain their mind with unusual emotions, people started creating a culture with demons and occult and stuff. His beautiful thoughts. Amazing time for it to start buffering. Is you in the middle of saying we're so back? Well, I'm really excited. Hmm. Hmm. Well, it's looking like there's some serious lag. Like some really serious lag. But we ball, I guess. Okay, I mean, we just have to ball. I don't feel like troubleshooting today. Sorry, everyone. Seriously, why have I been acting so damn thick-headed? I was totally taken in. Is this music? That's crazy. I've never heard music in my life before. Don't try to mess with me. This is the human world. I don't give a damn about witches, demons, magic circles, and sacrifices. The human who killed Dad and everyone else is still on this island. That's all there is to it, right? The next person who started speaking to my heart was Kyrie-san. Oh my god! Oh my god! Hi, bread! Hi, bread! I have to type it because we have like 10 minutes of lag. Um, you see, in both chess and shogi, when you reach the very, very last stage of the game and get closer and closer to cornering your opponent, the number of optimal moves you could possibly make gets smaller and smaller. Therefore, if you're backing someone against the wall, or if someone's doing the same to you, both players' moves become infinitely easier to read. In other words, when you're completely cornered and you think you have no moves left, that is the moment when it's easiest to read your opponent. However, when a person is forced into a defensive position, they can't help but lose their ability to think clearly, so they aren't able to get their minds around their opponent's moves. That's when you spin the chessboard around. With all my strength, I slapped my face with both hands. Now, my eyes were truly open. Oh, Battler's so fucking back, too! It's not just me! Battler's so fucking back! Reaction 10 minutes in the past? I love this Battler soon, so true. When you don't understand anything, and you're completely cornered, just like I am now, isn't that the perfect time to spin the chessboard around? While on the defensive, we can't even guess at the culprit's scheme. If we spin it around and look at it that way, just what might we see? First off, at the time the culprit committed the murders, they knew the island was being cut off by the typhoon. Therefore, they should have understood that even if they carried out the murders, they wouldn't be able to get away early next morning. In short, the culprit had begun without securing a way to escape. Well, see, perhaps the culprit doesn't need a way to escape. Rather than they had begun without securing a way to escape. Furthermore, that bastard tossed the corpses in the storehouse, then was even kind enough to say, "Here they are!" with that weird bit of graffiti. In other words, since we'd probably find the corpses sooner or later, they wanted to show them to us. If we'd all been dim and hadn't noticed the storage shed, the culprit's goal would not have been achieved, would it? The culprit needed them to be there, so maybe the culprit could be somewhere else. If you think about it this way, that bastard of a culprit? Since this morning, they must have been watching our every move with bated breath. After all, if we hadn't been so kind as to discover what was on the storehouse, all of that hard work and preparation they did last night would have just gone poof. What did the culprit want to make us feel by showing us the corpses in the storehouse? All 6 of the bodies had their faces noticeably destroyed. Rudolph kind of base moment? Okay, I typed that before the wife bit. We're so time displaced. Umi knowers need to start reacting 10 minutes in advance. It's kind of like Umineko if you think about it. Okay. See. I feel like I'm missing something here. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to, like, add another node, right? Wait, I forgot how to use this. Battler's cool as fuck internal monologue, where he gets his shit together. So first he thinks about saying that, occult shit is, occult media is made, precisely because it's not real. And then Kyrie, says that, as you get cornered, you have fewer moves, but so does your opponent. Perfect time to spin the chessboard. Until now he's doing it. Now he's doing it. The spin. And so, thinks about the intentions of the culprit with the obvious storehouse, graffiti. Was it a grudge? A warning? The defacement of the bodies had occurred after death, so it hadn't been the means by which the culprit had killed. It didn't mean anything to those who had been killed. It was for those who are still alive. Message for those who are alive, not the dead. It did have meaning to those who found the bodies. The culprit wanted to make it appear that they had been killed so brutally. Huh! After thinking this way, I really want to tell that bastard to stop taking me so lightly. Who'd just dance to that tune? If you're told, please be scared, you can't just say, really, sure thing. When someone tells the great Ushiromiya battler, the entrance is right here, I'm the kind of guy who will start wanting to sneak in through the window. The next thing that had me concerned was that so-called magic circle on the shutter. As Maria, who had shown that her knowledge of the occult rivaled grandfathers, had recognized, that magic circle was genuine. They must have drawn that thing in pitch-black darkness, taking a lot of time and holding an umbrella in one hand. Isn't that amount of hard work and perfectionism impressive? It's not just impressive. It's a huge risk, right? That you are spending so much time out there doing that, right? That's like a huge risk. What if someone like finds you, right? Who up spinning the chessboard? What purpose would have been worth all of that effort? If we were looking for a fan of the occult in this mansion, most likely, all of us would naturally suspect Grandfather. Did they want to make us think Grandfather was involved? But if that's all they wanted, they could have just drawn any old scribble that looked like a magic circle. Well, see, depending on how, like, if they're, like, real, like, Ushiromiya knowers, they would, like, Maria would be able to call bullshit, right? Because Maria knows a lot. But, like, then that just depends, like, how much of an Ushiromiya knower are they, right? It wasn't like any of us amateurs would be able to tell the difference between genuine and fake. However, this magic circle was genuine, and furthermore, it had even been written in Hebrew. So this magic circle had a message that could only be understood by someone with knowledge of the occult. A message is a form of communication. Huge if true. Huge if true. A magic circle contains a message for people with knowledge of the occult. By sending it, they were hoping for a reaction. Reaction? For some reason, we couldn't find Grandfather now. I don't know how Grandfather might have spotted the magic circle on the shutter, but did he choose to hide himself in reaction to that? No, was it a trap to make us suspect that Grandfather had participated? You could read it either way. Damn, that's annoying. Damn, that's annoying. Message to grandfather? Well, I should say Kingzo. Message to Kingzo? Or just to make us suspect Kingzo. Raised eyebrows. What kind of reaction was the culprit hoping to get out of us by putting on this occult show? Somehow, that felt like the culprit's weak point. The letter from Beatrice that Maria had read aloud during last night's dinner sprang back into my mind. This was a freak who'd asked us to enjoy a battle of wits. It's literally a freak. Isn't that interesting? This is a battle of wits between us and the witch. Will we be sucked up by her occult game first? Or will we pull off her fake skin first? There's a whole day until the typhoon passes. Why not enjoy ourselves? Beto is a freak! Battle of wits as freak. I finally noticed that the inside of the parlor had gone quiet again. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought, some irritated, some acting depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the TV as if she'd never left it. It looked like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program, and she happily yelled, and giggled. You know, it's crazy. My mom said this. My mom, came over from the US, and she was like, you have to get the TV set up for me. So I made sure the TV was, like, functioning. And then, like 2 days after she came back, she was like, aren't commercials so great to watch? Like, they're so amazing and efficient. It's like 30 seconds of, like, communicating to the audience exactly what they need to know. It's so awesome. It's so efficient. And I was like, wow. I mean, it's true. Like, commercial makers are putting their whole, like, pussy into it. But it's just, like, funny that, like, she would say that. Like, okay. Like, true. Damn. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. Ooh, time to psychoanalyze everyone. Okay. Maria's literally just chilling. Maria's literally just chilling. Hashtag the chiller. If there isn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. Me! Right now, Aunt Natsuhi's searching the mansion with the servants, right? Then we shouldn't say, in this room. In this mansion is where the culprit has to be. After all, it's possible Aunt Natsuhi was behind this, and we still can't deny that one of the servants might be the killer. Anyone could be guilty. Still, Aunt Natsuhi and the rest sure are taking their time. Of course, it's not a small mansion, but isn't this taking a little too long just to walk around, checking the windows and doors? Just as I was thinking this, Aunt Natsuhi and the rest returned. Not one of them was missing. But our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Natsuhi in shock. The talk I'd had with Aunt Ava started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprits had enough in numbers or weapons to kill all those six at once. Natsuhi's gun moment! Her gun moment! Hashtag Natsuhi's gun moment. So let's see who's in the room, right? It was Battler, Ginjo? Wait, what was his name? I can't remember. What's the doctor's name? Well, it's fine. Jessica, George, who else was there? Ava, Hideyoshi. I think it's like Gin something. Oh, damn it. I'll have to scroll back 1 William years. Nanjo, it's Nanjo, it's Nanjo. I'm so silly. It's literally Nanjo. In the parlor, Natsuhi, returns with the servants and a gun. Let's beat him up, the witches at the tea party right now, so true. Forgive me if I startled you. I brought this to be prepared for the worst. After all, that thing in Aunt Natsuhi's hand was a rifle. At a glance, its silhouette looked a lot like a hunting gun, but it was unusually short and kinda looked like a kid-sized weapon. However, it had a weightiness to it that made it clear it was no kid's toy. That gun is Kinzo-san's, isn't it? Did you know about it? That's right. I remembered it was in Father's old collection and I managed to find it. Oh, whoa! Awesome! Natsuhi-san, is that the real thing? Is that thing real? Bro is so optimistic about this. She just brought out a gun. Yes, it's real. It can fire live ammunition. Long ago, Father used it to scare away wild birds. That takes me back. Where did you find that thing? No matter how much I asked him to let me touch it, he never let me lay even one finger on it. Oh! Grandfather had one of these? I didn't know that. Long ago, Grandfather was really addicted to cowboy films. That generation really liked this kind of rifle. Is that a Winchester? But I've never seen one that short before. Ha! I remember. It's that gun. That really takes me back. Everyone's so excited about this gun, I thought they would be more worried that a gun is here, but everyone's so chill about it. They're like, oh my god, hashtag Kinzo's gun. That's the one. Steve McQueen fired off and wanted. Alive or dead. Father sure has good taste. It is an item the master ordered specially from America long ago. As you can see, it is a working gun, so please don't tell anyone about this. Oh, he was quite fond of it right after he managed to acquire it. It seems the workings that ejected the cartridges were more interesting to him than shooting it, and he played around with it back in the forest all the time. Still, it's rather disturbing. Are you sure you should be dragging this out? This is to prepare for the worst. There's probably more than one offender involved. Furthermore, these horrible people killed 6 of us, including my husband. I have a responsibility to protect everyone until tomorrow, in my husband's place. As Natsuhi-san said this, she slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She had been trying to find Grandfather, as well as check the doors and windows. Since Grandfather wasn't with her, she probably still didn't know where he was. Kinzo still missing as fuck. I carefully checked all the doors and windows throughout the mansion. However, we must be prepared for anything. Everyone, I think it would be best if we all remained here. Oh, good point. If everyone's gathered here, then we can all feel more secure by keeping an eye on each other. What do you mean by that, Ava-san? Nothing really. I'm just agreeing with your opinion, aren't I? Under communism, Shiromiya Kinzo is everyone's abusive grandpa. Have we considered that Kinzo's kids simply had bad vibes? Guy whose dad was just murdered. Why don't we just enjoy ourselves? There was a stormy atmosphere between the two of them. If you think about who was the most suspicious from the inheritance problem standpoint, Aunt Ava was the obvious answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Natsuhi was innocent. No, if you view Beatrice's letter as one of Beatrice's letter as one of Grandfather's complicated pranks, and think of this crime as just an extension of that, there's more than enough reason to suspect even Grandfather. I think when Battler meets her, I'll switch to saying her name to, Beatrice. But for now, she can be Beatrice. Okay, wait, I didn't absorb this. If you view Beatrice's letter as one of Grandfather's complicated pranks, and think of this crime as just an extension of that, there's more than enough reason to suspect even Grandfather. Also, Aunt Natsuhi thought the criminal was on the outside, but Aunt Ava thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was a question of whether or not a 19th person exists. The same question has been repeated endlessly since last night's dinner, with the letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice. See, but without the letter, there would be no question. Nobody's out here thinking about the 19th person if they didn't insinuate it. So like, obviously, it's in the favor of there not being a 19th person. So was the culprit among us? Or not? Among us! And did the witch Beatrice exist? Or not? If you assume that something as stupid as a witch can't exist, you're basically saying that one of these relatives here, who share a common bloodline, is the culprit. Come on, Battler! Like, you can't just be, like, family killing each other? That's ridiculous! That's, like, one of the most normal things for family members to do. If that was too unpleasant, it'd be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale-like character of the witch. We literally need to get her ad block for real. Even though, to be honest, she just watches, K-dramas that she's torrented, so IDK how many ads she's even seeing. Honestly, okay, to be a disclaimer for future chatters, I don't actually know if she's, like, torrenting, but, like, she's definitely on some site, like, downloading shit all the time. A witch? A witch drawing a bizarre magic circle and offering human sacrifices? If I could accept that rubbish, I'd be able to trust all the people in this room. However, damn common sense got in the way. It kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit must be among us. In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break the silence. Okay, okay. Beautiful. Lunch ended, and the servants removed the tableware and went to the kitchen. The wind and rain neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. At first, it seemed as though Natsu planned to stop anyone from taking a step outside the room, but when it came time to prepare lunch, she finally realized this would be impossible. However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told the three servants to go together. Because of that, the servants were the first ones given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Sorry. You know how it is. Chats talking. Um, let's see. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident preventing most of us from eating much, everyone's starving. Everyone tore into their lunches in silence. I will wash the dishes so you can rest a while, Kanan-kun, Genji-san. Do you want something to drink? I don't need anything. Kanan? I don't need anything either. I can't remember what voice I did for him. Kanan. You two must have been so busy and so early in the morning. It's no wonder you're worn out. The only noise was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded through the kitchen. Okay. In the kitchen... So, it's Kumasawa Genji and Kanon. The only noise was that of Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji and Kanon sat in some chairs a short distance away, their eyes lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa had said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. But that didn't mean they could let it show in front of the relatives. Avoiding that was one of their virtues. Their servantly virtues. His illegal working gun, too. After the silence had continued for some time, Kanon opened his mouth and muttered, "Shannon, why did she have to die in such a horrible way?" Forget about the manner of her death. It was nothing more than bad luck. You're right. It was nothing more than bad luck. They both fell silent once again. Kanon's expression was filled with grief. See, I think it's so interesting. I don't know what the servants' deals are yet, but, like, they know so much more than the rest of the Ushiromiya's. Like, they're wired into the mainframe, and I don't know what they know. I think the phrasing is interesting. Kanon laments Shannon's death. Genji tells him that it's nothing more than bad luck. Like, I think they're, like, you know, if this is a time loop situation, like, they're the ones who remember the time loop. That's the vibe I'm getting, right? Like, you know, oh, like, the Ushiromiyas are the sickos who don't remember the time loop. But the servants, they fucking remember. They're locked the fuck in. Kindle loves to go missing, so true. Eva going, wow, even I, the Harris, am not allowed to touch that gun. So funny that you have it, Natsuhine-san. Yeah. It's so good, it's so good. They both fell silent once again. Kanon's expression was filled with grief. To think that Shannon-chan's actually dead. I still can't believe it. Wait, is this Kumasawa? I think this might be Kumasawa. To think Shannon-chan's actually dead. I still can't believe it. Poor thing. Not being able to see her again feels like a lie. Wait, who is saying this? Who is saying this? Ah, okay, it's Kumasawa. It's Kumasawa. Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to see her smiling face one more time. How interesting. How interesting. Like that phrase, right? It's so Kinzo talking about Beatrice coded. It's so Kinzo talking about Beatrice coded. Like, I see, this is me jumping at shadows, but I'm like, it means something. It has to mean something. Like, I bet all those sickos in the chat are like, oh, Kumasawa said the line, and I'm like, it means something, but I don't know what it means. I'm gonna kill myself. They should kiss Ivanatsuhi World? Oh my god. Am I a bad person for never considering Natsuhi Yuri? It's their world and we're just living in it. Yeah, the true toxic Yuri. Literally, literally. It is not Italian until proven otherwise. Kumasawa spoke with her back facing them. After all, Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse, so she had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Kanon heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further. Why did... Why did... Why did Beatrice-sama do that to Shannon? If she wanted to sacrifice, there are plenty of others to choose from. Why? Why? It was nothing more than bad luck. If we were less lucky, you or I might have been lying out there instead of Shannon. Or it could have been someone else entirely. Everything is left to fate. Genji-sama, you said the door to Madame's room was stained with traces of something like blood, right? The same substance that was painted on the shutter? Indeed. It was an unsettling mark. Almost as though someone with blood-stained fingers had been trying to pull out the doorknob. No, scratch through the door. That sort of unpleasant mark. Okay. Okay, so Kanon wonders why Beatrice chose Shannon. Again, Genji's repeating that thing about it's not being any more than bad luck. It's just fate. See, it's getting brought up again. So does this mean Beatrice-sama came to visit Madame's room and tried to open the door, but couldn't? Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door to Natsuhi's room. With the substance sticking to the door around the doorknob, and the marks of something scratching against the door, it had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door, but couldn't. How did the Madame avoid being chosen as a sacrifice? If only she'd been chosen, Shannon wouldn't have had to die. Treacherous things to say, Kanon. Sus. It was, okay, it was like, it was Maria giving the charm to Jessica, and then Jessica, wait. Yeah, and then Jessica gave it to Natsuhi, and Natsuhi hung it on her doorknob, and that's why she didn't get chosen, right? And so it's really implicating Maria of having, like, it's her knowledge, right? Hashtag her beautiful knowledge. Natsuhi somehow avoided getting chosen as a sacrifice. It's just interesting because, like, you know, it's such a funny thought. Like, are they seriously saying that Beatrice just wanders around with bloody hands? Like, she's bloody hands maxing all the time? Like, are they really saying that? Why, see, the thing is that the servants have the, like, extra information, but it's like, what do you mean by that? Like, are you just idealism maxing, or, like, what? Hmm. Okay, okay. Well, we'll see if this is any better. What do you know? Kyrie-san's theory was off. Grandfather really did have a confidant called Beatrice. Is that person on the island now? Yes. I believe that she is here. That's a vague way to say it. I guess that means you haven't seen her face today or yesterday. That is correct. It is extremely difficult to say, but... Kanon-kun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes. It's crazy because it's literally working for me. It's like playing on my PC. Like I'm literally there. It's crazy because it's literally work. Why is it working on my? I'm not even getting any lag. I'm not even getting any lag on my PC. Wait. No lag? No lag? It's literally lined up? That's crazy! That's crazy! This is tech that has never been attempted before! That's fucking wild. That's fucking wild. Okay, that's great, that's great, that's great, that's great. We're all caught up, we're all caught up. Kanan-kun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes. Come on! Don't just stop there! That's like freezing an inch before the blow, right? I urged him on jokingly again. Whatever you did, it worked! Yay! However, it looked like Kanan was still confused as to whether he should speak or not. Then, Kumasawa Ba-chan whispered, Ooh. You cannot see her face, because Beatrice-sama has no form. She has no... What did you say? Beatrice-sama has no body. Therefore, unless Beatrice-sama wishes it, common people like us are not able to see her form. I have heard that the portrait shows what Beatrice-sama looked like back when she had a human form. It seems he yearned for that figure so much, he would often stand in front of that portrait. Beatrice has no physical form. She actually does have a form. She's a very pretty lady. So true. Common people like us are not able to see her form. Okay, so then why are you so sure she exists if you can't see it? How has she affected the world, right? Beatrice-sama sometimes shows herself by changing her form into glittering butterflies. On the rare occasion that you spot them somewhere in the mansion, there is a rule that you absolutely mustn't chase after them. It is whispered that you will meet with disaster if you do. In fact, there was a servant who broke that rule and quit because of a great injury. Wait, someone saw them in the mansion. Did Shannon see them? Did Shannon see them? I need to go back and look at my notes. Did Shannon see them? But she takes the form of glittering butterflies. Sometimes. Servants are not to chase after them. or else there will be great disaster. You use an extension to watch Twitch through, though, so that might be why. Interesting, interesting. I swear someone saw butterflies. I really, really think someone saw butterflies. It was like... Yes, yes, yes! Shannon saw them! Shannon literally saw them! And so had Kanan. Kanan had seen them too. Interesting, interesting. My beautiful notes. Hashtag my beautiful notes. Wait a sec. Are you kidding me? Are you all serious about this? Battler-sama. Beatrice-sama has already arrived. Such language may be unwise. Beatrice-sama does not like it when she is profaned. If you doubt her existence, you will surely meet with disaster. Battler-san, you probably find this topic unpleasant. But you know what? Beatrice-sama does exist. She exists. Beatrice-sama hates people who doubt that. Can't you tell, Battler-sama? Beatrice-sama has already arrived here. Come on! Quit it! I'm weak against that stuff. Enough with the cheap threats. However, there was no trace of a joke in the eyes of the three servants. The three servants all tell him that Beatrice has already arrived. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up fast. Battler-sama, Battler-san, I beg that you stop profaning Beatrice-sama. Please, trust me. Kumasawa-bachan, who was usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally serious face. Well, even if you say she exists, I don't see anything. Are you trying to say she's standing right next to me or something? Quit joking around. Just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen. Maria's there, but it's low-key, it's low-key Beatrice, isn't it? When I turned around, Maria was standing there by the entrance. But her expression and the feeling about her presence, felt exactly the same as the servants. Whether your wavelength matches or not is determined at birth. Battler, you were born with a mismatched wavelength. That's why you can't see her. That's why you can't meet with her. And that's why you can't talk to her. Just not on the same wavelength, bro. Sorry. Tells Battler he's not on the same wavelength. Actually, Matches what? Or rather, the wavelength is mismatched. So it's like, what is it? What are you matching to, Beatrice-sama's...
You're the type Beatrice hates the most.
Maria laughed like it was funny, but it sounded extremely eerie. It was almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand.
Do you want to know about Beatrice? Beatrice is a 1,000-year-old witch. With all of the demons at her command, she can harness the power of alchemy to create the Philosopher's Stone and a vast quantity of gold. Grandfather built up all the vast wealth of the Ushiromiya family by making a contract with her.
According to Maria, Beatrice is a 1,000-year-old witch, with demons at her command, and, uses the power of alchemy to create the Philosopher's Stone and a vast quantity of gold. It really begs the question, why Kinzo, right? Like, why is this the little freak that you decided to make gold for, right? Lots of, that's so funny. Yeah. In case anyone was wondering, Beatrice has now rejected Battler twice on my Tomodachi Life Island, which feels really true.
Yesterday, I read Beatrice's letter, didn't I? That was real. Well, I guess it's pointless for me to try and force you to believe. After all, it looks like you were born without a trace of the sixth sense.
What are you talking about? Witches, demons? Who told you about that?
I heard it from Beatrice herself.
Maria heard all this from Beatrice. No sixth sense at all. SMH. Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink. It's extremely true, I'd reject his dumb ass too. She heard it from that witch in the portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice as though this was nothing more or less than the truth. Maria, it might be rude to ask, but I'll ask one more time, okay? Who gave you that letter yesterday?
I got it from Beatrice. How many times must I tell you before you understand? You don't get it, do you? You can't see it. You can't believe it, can you?
See, I think they're too focused on things that you can't see. They're too focused. See. Okay. Back to the rows. Back to the rows, everyone. The rows that... See, that's interesting. Because Maria couldn't find the rows either. So is it like... Sorry, sorry, you know the rose? It was there, and then everyone saw it. And then it wasn't there. And Maria kept looking for it. She fucking got it from Beatrice! Everyone leave her alone! Okay. But see, things you can't see, you can prove that it's there with other methods. So why can Battler just ask for I don't know, I guess it's the letter, right? But then he's like, I don't believe it. Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
Battler, you still don't understand? Beatorichi-sama exists.
She exists, you say? But where?
Like I said, Beatorichi-sama exists here.
That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for a while now. The servants' eyes haven't been pointed in quite the right direction. I'd figured they were just staring absent-mindedly, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Genji-san, Kanan-kun, Kumasawa-san, and Maria, everyone except me, was looking at a spot right behind me. Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I've known that the whole time! However, everyone in the room except me was focusing on that point, as if there was someone there.
Beatorici is the mighty golden witch who has lived for 1,000 years. But since she can't show her form to humans of the wrong wavelength, she can't talk to them. And you know what? That's really sad. It means she truly despises it when people like you, who were born without a fragment of the ability needed to sense magic, deny that she exists. You're lucky, Battler. Good thing I gave you that charm yesterday, right? Don't you realize what kind of curse Beatorici would have put on you by now if you hadn't been carrying it around? You really are lucky, Battler.
That damn rose. Literally. So why did Maria give Battler and Jessica charms this time? Sorry, we have to go back to this. She's literally right there, bro. Maria says that, the charm she gave Battler is protecting him. Sorry, I want to go back and see why exactly she gave them the charm. So, the post-dinner crash out. Okay, it's the kids hanging out. Let's hang out at the beach. Wait, was it not? Let's hang out at the beach? I could swear it was, let's hang out at the beach. Whatever, it's fine.
Oh, that scorpion keychain. I thought that was just some cheap gift or something, but are you saying it really had some power?
Yeah, you can take it off and get mauled.
If it weren't for that, you'd be lying in that storehouse as a sacrifice with your face crushed right now. You're so lucky, Battler.
I see. So if it weren't for that, I'd have been killed by now.
Battler, why don't you believe in Beatrice? Even though she exists. Right now. Over there. Look. Hey, I'll bet you want to believe it now. Believe it. And thank me for giving you that charm. If it weren't for that, you'd be in the storehouse right now. But then, maybe you would have saved someone else in exchange, right?
What? Right then, I burst into laughter. Playing witches had been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately, that last one seemed to be too much for me to gloss over. Then it's all useless, isn't it, Maria? If that's true, then I'm sorry, but it's all useless. When Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't— I don't understand what you're laughing at either, Battler, but good for you. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it wouldn't be pleasant for her. I thought it might hurt you, so I didn't say it earlier, but... well, I thought I'd put that charm you gave me in my pocket, but I must have dropped it somewhere. So, the charm can't be the only reason I'm alive now. And even though I should have been cursed by the witch, I'm perfectly fine. Sorry, but I don't believe in things I don't see with my own eyes. Sixth senses? Wavelengths? Magic sensitivity? Sorry, but I don't believe in fake stuff like that. When I hear the girls in class start talking about how good or bad their ability to sense the supernatural is, it pisses me off. You didn't have to get misogynistic with it. I don't know how much grandfather is paying you, but if you're trying to talk me into joining some cult, believe me, you won't be able to do it that easily. Battler-sama, you guys are free to believe whatever you want. However, when it comes to the things I believe, the one who decides is... Sorry, there was a mosquito on my keyboard. The one who decides is always me! Sorry, but I can't believe in something as shady as Beatrice until I've seen her with my own eyes. Good thing that you're going to see her with your own eyes soon, King. He hates women! He hates women! I spoke forcefully and sharply. Then, Maria started cackling again.
Well, that's just fine, isn't it? Eventually, even people like you with totally mismatched wavelengths will be able to see Beatrice. Very soon, she will revive. Beatrice will revive. Once that happens, she's promised to talk with me and play with me a lot. There will be absolutely no need for you to doubt or for us to force you to believe. She will appear very soon.
I didn't even have that charm with me. Gotcha! And Maria's like, soon Beatrice will revive. After a meal, some people tend to head to the bathroom while others prefer to relax for a bit. It seemed that several people had left the parlor, just like I did when I went to the kitchen to drink some water. Even though they were all like, we all have to stay in the same room, they're all like being whatever burger about it now. I hired this child to cackle at you. The cackler! In the end, Aunt Natsuhi reluctantly retracted her order that everyone remain packed into the parlor, on the condition that no one headed out on their own or strayed too far. In any case, about 11 people are shut up in the same room. Starting early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. Also, quite some time had passed, so everyone was starting to recover from the shock of that morning, and their sense of danger might have been weakening too. However, it was a certain fact that 6 people had been killed inside this mansion, so no one was completely negligent. So whenever they went out into the hallway for a breath of fresh air, trying to act tough, They would quickly get scared of standing there isolated and would eventually return to the parlor. I guess it's like the north wind in the sun. If you force someone to stay shut in, they'll resist, but if you tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People really do like not doing what they're told. When the servants finished cleaning up from the meal, they returned obediently to the parlor just as Aunt Natsuhi had told them to, and sat on a sofa near the entrance, patiently awaiting orders. Maria, almost as though she had suddenly finished playing witches, had returned to the pure Maria I knew well, saying, "Ugh." No more cackling. She has two moods. And kiki. What in the world happened back there? I hadn't felt even an atom of the presence of this person called Beatrice, who is supposedly standing behind me invisible. However, it felt like I glimpsed a little of that presence inside Maria. You're right. When Maria starts talking about witches, her personality changes. Battler-kun, you also saw it down by the beach yesterday, right? You mean that scorpion keychain? No, I don't mean like when her feelings are hurt. I'm talking about her having a dual personality or something. Yeah, that happens sometimes too. That thing Maria did when she was talking about the magic circle does happen every now and then. It's freaky though. Apparently, Jessica had spotted that Maria a few times. I just happened to catch it at a bad moment, and was pretty freaked out seeing it for the first time. Oh no, best viewers, dbarat.online. So what is that? Does Maria have a dual personality or something? Or are you saying that her spiritual sense really is that strong, and she's being possessed by a spirit or whatever? No, I don't think it's that. Haven't you ever experienced it? When you were small, didn't you ever want to be someone other than yourself? George's hypothesis is like, she's literally just role-playing, dude! Calm down, she's role-playing! When humans are born, no one has any individuality. However, when they reach their growth period, their sense of self starts to be born. No, I wanted free followers! They want to be different from other people. But since everyone else in their class is learning the same things at the same rate and being forced into the same lifestyle, of course they aren't going to find anything that makes them different from everyone else around them. Once they realize that, the first thing they do is to start breaking rules, in what's called their rebellious stage. Since everyone else follows the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. So even those who try to act tough, mocking everyone around them and calling them childish, can actually be viewed as cute kids searching for themselves if you look at it in this way. Well, I'm lecturing about all this like I'm so smart, but I actually got it secondhand from George Aniki. I myself was one of those embarrassing guys who thought it was cool to act like a little bastard. Well, that was when I was at the age where you try to show off for the opposite sex. The main feature of the growing period lies in an impulse to break away from your life as a kid, like a chick trying to crack open the shell of their egg. Do you know what makes children and adults different? Age? Or do you mean size? No, it's experience. Adults can look down on children because children have very little life experience. The reason they snort at everything children say is because they think kids know nothing about the real world. Yeah, I understand that. When you're a kid, you talk like you've got life all figured out somehow, trying to act like an adult. No matter what kids say, adults just snort at them and say they're too naive, or that they'll understand when they get older, or something. Well, it's probably true, but to a kid, it's just annoying, like they're being looked down upon. Jesse, hi! Guess what? The stream is back in business. We're like locked the fuck in. We're like there's like no lag now. It's crazy.
I get it. It's a question of knowledge and experience.
Well, I guess you're right that no reason to respect a person. I guess you're right that there's no reason to respect a person for their age if they've just wasted their lives.
Therefore, during the period when they try to separate themselves from other children, they also try to take on personality traits different from those around them. And if knowledge and experience is what separates kids and adults, I get it. If they know something no one else knows, it becomes part of their identity.
You know, when I was in elementary school, I'd learn things no one else knew. Get things no one else had, wear things no one else wore. Oh, you're still wearing things no one else is wearing, I'm just saying.
And became a bit of a hero for it. I'll bet you've done the same thing, Battler.
Yeah. There is definitely an age when I wanted to excel in some skill or other.
I see. So that's because I was trying to separate myself from being a child. Or going through my growth period, in other words.
Love wins! Love literally wins! I'm saying! The storm passed! It's so lit!
If you put a positive spin on it, the growing period forces you to separate yourself from others, thereby pushing you to gain skills and knowledge no one else has. This is also interesting from a sociological standpoint. Because people hate being like everyone else, they try to learn skills other people don't know. In this way, society can acquire the broad range of skills it needs to survive. The quality of the gods' programming is truly surprising.
Well, unique personality traits can also be negative, right? Like if, say, everyone in the class was studying hard, but I was the only one slacking off, trying to stand out. Okay, that last bit really was true about me. Me when I find unfindable books online through my sources, so true, so true. It's only recently that I've been able to thank the middle school teacher who slapped me after school. No, don't romanticize physical abuse! But, well, I'd try to jump over things no one else could, sprint as fast as I could, trying to lap those guys with good grades. When we did a marathon, I just felt like doing it. It was in my nature that if I couldn't study well, then I could at least I could get back at them by exercising. The exerciser!
I see. So I really did go through a proper growing period.
I guess boys really do tend to focus more on physical stuff. But you know, girls of the same age tend to focus more on mental, spiritual things. I'll bet there were groups of girls in your class that got really interested in fortune-telling and their spiritual senses. George, perhaps the worst person to take advice from when it comes to differentiating adults and children. Stop! That's so funny! That's so funny! Yeah, there were! They'd come over asking me for my sign and my blood type, and then they'd laugh. Ha! I thought so! It really got on my nerves. No matter which class you go to, girls like fortune telling. Stop stereotyping, bro! Deciding whether your spirit sense is strong or weak, what your sensitivity is, whether you can see the unseeable. That kind of thing definitely happened to me.
That's because fortune-telling and spiritual senses are things that aren't taught in school. To girls who tend to be more introverted, it's a genre that's easy to build an identity upon, and one that holds a lot of interest for them.
Just like how when boys enter their growing period, they start acting tough and rebel against adults. When girls enter their growing period, they start getting interested in that kind of thing. Well, I didn't though!
So, Maria having so much interest in the occult, isn't that rare among girls her age?
Well, I think she's a little ahead of the curve, I'm not gonna lie. Well, is she? No, maybe she's not ahead of the curve. Maybe that's like a normal age. She's like in 4th grade, right? Even if we accept that, I wonder if it explains that creepy dual personality thing. Actually, I think I probably could accept that explanation more or less.
As you just said, becoming an adult means gaining knowledge and experience. So, to gain that, it's necessary for children to learn all sorts of things and break free from childhood.
It's true, as a young girl, I only cared about telepathy.
However, there are certain convenient delusions that you see often in the world of children, both now and in the past.
Do you know what I mean? You see it all the time in manga and anime, right? Chunibyo? It's kind of like that. Like you've got memories from a previous life that start to resurface. Like you're being possessed by the soul of the great something or whatever. Or it could be that a sleeping gene gets awakened. Or maybe a sealed power or memory returns. There's all kinds. For some reason, stuff like that's really popular at that age. Why is that?
All of those examples you've just mentioned are illusions that let children immediately add to their sum of knowledge and experience. If a 9-year-old girl says she has a 1,000-year-old witch possessing her, then she gains a 1,009-year-old identity.
She's like 9. Is 9 4th grade? Help. 18 for 3rd grade. Hilarious viewpoint when so much emphasis has been placed on Maria by Rosa, on her not being accepted by her peers. Literally, like, is she getting any clout? Is she, you're, like, George is like, yeah, she's just clout chasing. Where is the clout in the room with us right now?
So basically, studying is annoying. But these delusions are convenient for people who want to brag about having a skill no one else has, amazing the people around them.
It is. Rule of thumb is that 5th grade is 10. Oh, so true. Nice, nice. So you could brag about something without having to work hard or study. I see. Isn't that a kid's greatest dream? You know, I've never thought about it like this. Like, I don't know how much truth there is to this. But I think it's interesting.
Furthermore, in their desire to separate themselves from being kids, they always project an image of their ideal self. And it's not rare for that desired self to become an alternate personality. Even you, Battler-kun, probably had a slightly different personality at home and at school, right? It'd probably be embarrassing if your friends at school saw how you were at home. At school, you try to project yourself as you want to be, but home is where you're your true self.
So, in other words, I'm changing my personality depending on the situation. Are you trying to say having multiple personalities is actually really common?
A girl who's a fan of the occult might say she's being possessed or awakened.
Honestly, there are some kids who change their personality so much it's creepy. And some boys do it too, right? Guys who say they've blown their top and suddenly turn into some overplayed violent character. Higurashi had literally the same kids pretend to be unwell alternate personalities for attention. God, this battler sprite, we need to beat him up. Literally. Oh my god, have you read Higurashi then as well? You're like Ryukishi maxing. I'll bet they think it's pretty cool, but it's painful to watch.
Let's sum this all up. So you're saying that even if a girl about Maria's age shows a creepy second personality like she did a minute ago, it isn't such a rare or unusual thing?
George! Simply put, that's right.
Identity is an important factor when building up one's sense of self. If you make fun of it, it could actually cause children to go back into their shells. So it's important to go along with them to some degree. Although the broad-mindedness of the parent determines whether they play along in full or not. Aniki, I can't believe you're single! Bro, don't say that! Battler, you can't say that! Yup, I read Higurashi. I do not recommend, but it's worthwhile. It's bad, but it's good, but it's bad. But I enjoyed it, but I hate it. That's so funny because, like, I have a different mutual who's, like, live vlogging, Higurashi. And, like, who, not anymore. I think they were doing it a while back. But I think, like, that was basically how I felt like she was blogging about it, right? Like, it was, like, there would be, like, a post that, like, glazed it, and then a post that would be, like, why is he so, like, why is he victim blaming, bro? Like, why is he doing that? You sound like you've already raised kids through middle school. So, I wonder if Aunt Rosa also knew much about Maria's dual personality. Oh, she knew about it. Just between us, Aunt Rosa really hated it. She said it was unpleasant and that Maria was becoming increasingly isolated from the rest of the class. So anytime Maria started talking about the occult or laughing like a witch, she'd slap her. And it looks like Maria stopped talking that way in front of her. Maybe that thing back there was just a little game from a girl facing her growing period. Just a girl trying to show that she was different and independent by holding interest in witches and the occult. And, like, do you, no, but bro, think about it. Why would the servants side with her? Like, the obvious choice is to side with Battler, because Battler has more power than Maria. So, like, why are they all choosing to side with Maria? Is that not sus to you, Battler? Don't listen to George. I've only watched the show, Fake Fan, but my partner has read it. Higurashi around midway gets suddenly amazing and insanely amazing, and then it just immediately dives off a cliff. It's so messy. I've only watched the anime, but yeah, I felt the same way about it. Higurashi summary: Jessica Umineko is an expansion of the best character, Mion Shion. To fuck with him. So true. And since she wanted to be different from herself, young as she was switching between her normal personality and the personality of her ideal, a witch. At first, I'd found that very disturbing, but after being lectured to by George Aniki, it felt like this was a path everyone walked down at one time or another. I haven't told anyone, but when I was in kindergarten, I joined up with a little gang of kids trying to form an Earth Defense Force, saying we'd help protect peace on Earth. My face turns red when I remember how, during what we called battle practice, we would chant, EDF! EDF! Just like usual, Maria was relaxing, immersed in the TV, oohing and laughing just like any other girl her age. But on the inside, another personality, that of the ideal which she respected and blindly accepted, was sleeping. But that wasn't anything extraordinary. It was perfectly natural for a girl of her age. Bro is just rationalizing it now. I've calmed down a little. So far in my experience, Umineko is Higurashi's format, but like amazingly done, and the fan service is deeply dropped. Oh, that's a relief. Yeah, like, yeah. Like one of the things that I really remembered that made a big impression for me from my mutual who was live blogging it was like, because I think like she read Umi first, and then after that he was like, okay, I'm gonna go read Higu now, and then like she was like, wait, like they're just talking about nothing forever. Or I think maybe he played Higurashi first, but like either way, they're like, Umineko is so streamlined. It's like so to the point. It's crazy. Like there's no detours at all. That's wild. Yeah. So like I'm like, that's crazy because
Like, I also know that Umi is, like, infamously super duper long. I have not been taking notes at all. Um, talking with Jessica and George. Wait. Talking to Jessica and George about Maria. And then so it's like, Battler obviously freaked out by Maria, asks Jessica and George about the dual personality shit. George convinces him that it's literally normal. All kids do this. Girls love the occult. They love to have knowledge, to seem knowledgeable about. The shock from my bizarre experience in the kitchen just now is fading away. If I hadn't talked to Aniki and Jessica, I might still be frightened by the idea that an invisible witch is standing right behind me. However, can I really accept that as an explanation for what happened back there? I don't recommend it. I know so many people who did Umi first and then went to Higu and they're like, how is the first installment? Note taking is literally so important. Literally. Apparently there's so much description of them just like playing games. Like card games. There's literally 2-hour scenes of card games. There's a minimum 10 hours total of Mahjong. I did learn about Mahjong. Educational. So true. I solved Higurashi's main mystery via notes. Never stopped taking notes. So true. Are there motorcycles? Yepers! Shion has a little scooter and there's a repeated scene of the kids getting into a fight with a little motorcycle gang. That's so funny. If it had just been Maria, I could have explained it as the fickle delusions of a growing girl. But Genji-san, Kanon-kun, and Kumasawa-ba-chan had also been there. None of them had denied what Maria said. They silently accepted that Beatrice exists. I was starting to feel a little uneasy. I wonder if that new guy is on the same wavelength. I wonder if, what's his guy? The kitchen guy. Because he doesn't feel like someone who's on the same wavelength. He feels like Battler. He doesn't feel like the rest of the servants. Like, he didn't come from the orphanage, right? The one that Shannon and Kanan were raised in. Yeah, Goda. So true. Yes, Goda. Yeah. Goda feels like he's not on the wavelength. Like, it feels to me that, like, the orphanage is run by those Shiromiyas, and I think they, like, I think in some ways they're, like, seeing how compatible, and they cycle in and out, right? But I think, like, those who can see Beatrice, I think they get to stay in some way. Go to Tris theory? Not theory, it's a fact. The orphanage plot is so sketch. Like, what do you mean by that? Aunt Ava's position was that no 19th person existed, that the crime was an inside job tied to the family quarrels. On the other hand, Aunt Natsui's position was that the culprit was hiding somewhere outside the mansion. So she rejected the possibility of an inside job and supported the idea that a 19th person existed. And in the kitchen, Maria and the servants had also supported the idea of a 19th person. Well, they did, but nothing about... Well, I guess no. They did support the idea of, like, it was Beatrice is the 19th person, and also she was the one doing the killing. But according to them, this 19th person isn't human. They said it was an invisible witch, carrying out some mysterious plan. Is there a 19th person? Or not? And is the culprit human? Or a witch? For some reason, I couldn't just laugh off any of those possibilities. Not even the most ridiculous story about the witch. Jessica, all I know about the story of the witch is that the adults made it up to keep the kids too scared to enter the forest. But is the story different here in the mansion? Oh, I feel the same way you do, okay? I think it was just a stupid ghost story that parents made up so their kids would listen to them. The orphanage plot creeps me out! Yeah, it's crazy! Oh my god, I'm so excited to find out about the orphanage! But I can't deny that the atmosphere inside the mansion makes it a little hard to say it out loud. After all, Grandfather has proclaimed that Beatrice exists, and because of their position, the servants can't doubt that. Even Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi don't want to get into a fight with him, so on the surface, they go along with it. So, it's probably fair to say that doubting the existence of Beatrice is taboo to those who live and work in this mansion. Unlike the rest of us, who only come here once a year. Is that right? Jessica took a deep breath in admiration. It looked like Aniki had guessed right. It's just like you say. No one really believes it on the inside, but on the outside, they accept that she exists. See, it's just like the way some people are about God. Even if they know God doesn't exist, they feel like it'd be uncouth if they actually said it out loud. How do you think the servants feel about it? Are they just going along with it because Grandfather, their employer, says she exists? Well, I don't really know the details, but between the servants, the story about Beatrice has been treated like a sort of ghost story. Remember yesterday when Shannon was talking to us down by the beach? That story about how one night, when she was doing the rounds in the mansion, she saw something unsettling? She did say something like that, didn't she? Back then, I thought she was just being nice to help improve Maria's mood, but it felt like she was serious when she said it. That's right, she definitely said it. She definitely said the same kind of thing that Genji and the rest had all unanimously declared back in the kitchen. In addition, some servants have also seen will-o'-the-wisps and glittering butterflies dancing around. Kanan-kun also saw something like that when he went patrolling one night. And recently, you often hear servants talking about strange footsteps, heard inside the mansion near midnight. We've whispered together that the Beatrice-sama in the portrait sometimes makes herself invisible and walks through the mansion. Throws up after typing that. So true. It happened a while ago, but even I have heard footsteps while patrolling at night that resembled these stories. That's right, she definitely said that. Exactly the same thing that I had been told just now. Battler asked Jessica about whether the servants, believe in Beatrice. Jessica and George believe that everyone just pretends to believe, but feel because they feel pressured due to Kinzo. But Shannon on the beach had said the same thing that Genji and Ko were saying in the kitchen. I'm the will-o'-the-wisp, so true.
Ah, but there's nothing to be afraid of. Beatrice-sama is another ruler of this mansion, separate from the master. So, there's no need to be unnaturally afraid. If you respect her, I hear she won't do anything bad.
However, she can be quite terrifying if you don't respect her, right?
Correct. I've heard that just before I began working here, someone who spoke badly about Beatrice-sama fell down the stairs and quit after receiving a large injury to their back. Because of that, there was a rumor between the servants that Beatrice-sama's anger had been brought down upon this person.
The butterflies, invisible Beatrice, speaking badly of her, causing a servant to break their back and quit. If you don't respect her, you'll suffer her wrath and get hurt. So, to the servants, Beatrice's existence is just as credible as the story that if you pull pranks on Inari-san, you'll receive Kitsune-sama's curse. And of course, even though everyone accepts that curses and the like don't exist in the modern era, people are still afraid and still have a little respect for them. You often see it when in a residential area someone is building a house, and they call a Shinto priest for a ceremony to honor the god of that plot of land. You might think that was just a big waste of time and money, but it is said that if the workers don't do that, a big accident will occur, so they never neglect to do it. You also hear about how if an Inari shrine is carelessly removed during a town replanning. Interesting! Okay, sorry. Battler talks about superstitions regarding construction and shrines. Interesting. Actually, you know, I think this goes on a side. How do I... Let me... Sorry, I forget how to use my damned... Okay. Interesting that Battler brings up, shrines, because the shrine, visible from the boat on the island had disappeared since Maria last visited the island. You also hear about if an Inari shrine is carelessly removed during a town replanning, there'd be a curse by Kitsune-sama. I think I might have read somewhere that when the occupying forces were trying to expand an airport, they tried to remove an Inari-sama that was in the way, and the workers kept getting struck down by mysterious fevers. You ate it, sorry, I hope it tasted good. Was it yummy? Was it yummy? Was the shrine yummy? Even in modern cities like Tokyo, it wasn't rare to see modern buildings packed all around an old Inari shrine, leaving the shrine itself untouched. And this wasn't limited to Japan. It's probably similar to how foreigners baptize babies. If I remember right, by Christian doctrine, if unbaptized souls have even the slightest amount of sin, they will still go to hell. Putting water on a child's forehead doesn't do anything but make them cry. But if by doing just that, parents can prevent their children from going to hell, they will happily go through with that ceremony. In short, even in this modern society of reason, we were still unable to throw away every trace of belief and fear. You could even say that we accept certain sorts of supernatural things, though in a passive way. You look at me and I am suspiciously shrine-shaped. My rock! Those stupid Christians. Maybe the only difference on this island is that Beatrice is the object of that worship. So, in other words,
If anything happens that doesn't seem explainable in human terms, it's called the work of Beatrice. I think Shannon Chen said it herself. Windows and doors and locks that were tightly shut would be open the next time you went to check them. Lights that should have been on went out, and lights that should have been out were turned on. And if I remember, even Jessica was joking about it, saying it was the work of Beatrice when she couldn't find her bag in the morning. Your memory's pretty good. Normally you'd say some little imps took them, but on this island, it's Beatrice. Well, it's all pretty stupid, though. I wonder, Jessica lives here, but it feels like she's also not on the same wavelength. She's not goated with a sauce. This mansion has been standing for about 30 years by now, hasn't it? It's natural for things that get old to get their fair share of ghosts and occult stories. Like the 7 mysteries at a school. That's so funny. Like, can you imagine attending a new school? Like, my dumbass school doesn't even have 7 mysteries. It's like fucking new. It's just new. But that's where I'll spin the chessboard around. Huh? Simply put, on this island, there's a rule that Beatrice gets blamed for anything that couldn't have been done by humans. Things that humans can't do. How many humans are there? 18. In other words, the culprit is using the rules of this island to make it look like a witch committed this crime. Which proves that they desperately want us to think that there's a 19th person did it. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. What do you mean you don't like it? Let's assume that some invisible 19th person exists and wants people to know they exist. If it were me, I'd do it with even more perfect timing. What do you mean by perfect timing? Well, the crime took place sometime between the middle of night and dawn, right? We had some people who were talking together until the middle of the night, some people on night shifts, and some people who'd returned to their rooms and were sleeping. Everyone's alibi is really vague, so there's plenty of room to suspect that the crime was an inside job. George, Aniki, Aunt Ava probably told you too, right? I think if my parents had been murdered, I'd be hiding in a closet. So true. Like for the whole day at least, probably longer. Yet these people lock the fuck in. They cried for 20 minutes and then got over it. Literally. There's a good chance this crime was an inside job? Yes. I guess. In other words, if this invisible 19th person really exists and wants to let us know it, this first crime was a complete failure. No, in the first place, they chose the wrong time of day to do it. If this invisible 19th person really wanted to show themselves, they had to make sure that the crime took place under conditions which proved that the remaining 12 people were all innocent. As long as there's a single human we can suspect, this 19th person's attempt to highlight their presence fails. That's why near midnight, when everyone's alibis are at their vaguest, the 19th person's existence is also at its vaguest. And yet, the culprit chose to commit the crime at that time. It's interesting because it plays the, intense emotional reactions very well, but then 2 hours later they're like, yawn, I'm bored. What a busy day of my dad getting slaughtered. Let's debate Maria's psychology. Yes, exactly. Like, the scene of finding the body is always crazy. Yawn, I'm bored, lol. I see, but I think, Battler... Battler, CCCCC, I think he's getting a little caught up because, he's caught up in proving the existence of the 19th person, right? But to the 19th person, I don't think it's that...
it's that crucial, and I think it's actually beneficial to commit their crime at the vague time, because then it throws people into confusion, right? Like, there might be, but there might not be. And it's like, we don't know whether this 19th person wants everyone to know they exist. Like, maybe it's more beneficial for everyone to be in a state of confusion, right? Because if they proved their own existence, right, then everyone else can be more unified, right? Like, if you're like, okay, if everyone has a clean alibi, then it has to be an outside job. And now everyone's on the same page, and everyone's against you. But with this uncertainty, then they're not unified. Then they're not together, right? Bro, you need to look up the body found scene later, because Jessica's actress screams like her parents both actually were actually killed in the booth. It's crazy. This is how he is. He's locking in. He's coping. He's coping. It's true. Disproving nonsense is dear to him. It's so dear to him. By committing the crime, then, one of the 18 would obviously be suspected. And yet, someone handed Maria the letter and called themselves a witch, even though everyone denies they did it. In other words, you're trying to say that one of the 18 is trying to make it look like a 19th person called Beatrice exists? That's a pretty crazy idea. I think Mom's theory about someone hiding on the outside, hiding outside the mansion is a bit more credible. Paddler, don't tell me you actually think someone in this room is the culprit. I do. Someone's trying to force us to accept that Beatrice exists. That's right. This whole thing started as far back as the letter last night. I don't have any basis or proof, but with a chessboard turned around, this is my best guess. The intentionally fracturing their theories angle, yeah. Because, like, you know, like, it would be so much easier, like, if everyone was convinced that, yes, there is a 19th person, then they could, like, they would, you know, like, they would be much more unified, right? Now, that everyone is still suspicious, like, they don't know whether it's an inside or an outside job, you know, I think that's beneficial for the culprit, regardless of whether, like, see, objectively, right, like, objectively, it's more beneficial for like, if the culprit was an inside job, for it to, okay, sorry, if it was an inside job, it would benefit the culprit more to have this existence of the 19th person. But if you were the 19th person, like, why would you want to make that clear? Like, isn't a little suspicion more, like, better? Like, assuming that, like, you know, you are also human and you don't want to get caught, etc., etc. Whatever. Seriously, that's too crazy. You sure you haven't been reading too many weird detective novels? However, it's an angle we can't ignore. Whether there's a 19th person or not, the culprit is definitely planning something involving that rule about this island. Just now, listening to Battler Can Talk, I remembered something that's a little disturbing. Something disturbing? Yes. Do you remember? Beatrice's letter. Sorry. We have to go back to taking notes. Does the 19th person exist? Battler thinks not. George mentions the letter. It said that Beatrice was going to collect interest. And by interest, it mentioned everything of the Ushiromiya family. Jessica and I thought back on what Maria had read aloud the previous night. The classic Umineko character! Yeah, this is just like Agatha Christie novels! Yeah, it said that. It definitely said that. That the collection of the interest was going to take place shortly, but if the riddle of the gold could be solved, she'd lose that right. Grandfather received the gold and rebuilt the Ushiromiya family. In other words, according to Beatrice, everything created using the gold as capital counts as part of the interest. Which means... pretty scary for a joke, Aniki. You don't mean everything of the Ushiromiya family? In other words, everything that grandfather gave birth to? In other words, everyone with grandfather's blood flowing through their veins? Beatrice is going to collect interest. What if it includes Kinzo's descendants? Well, but here's the thing, right? Akirie and, like, Goda and stuff, they got killed. These murders are just Beatrice legitimately collecting interest. If that's the case, these crimes will continue. Because the collection of interest is still only halfway completed. He gave birth? Kinzo Empreg! George turned around looking over the parlor. There were still many people who held the name Ushiromiya. And because Goda-san and Shannon-chan had been killed, we knew that not even the servants were safe, despite lacking the Ushiromiya name. But like they're also, but like, the servants are their property, they're the Ushiromiya's furniture, so I understand, I can see it. Godo is his servant. Godo is his son theory, literally. Yeah, so true. Godo, the only beloved descendant due to good meals, so true. So are they planning to kill us all? But that's weird, George Nissan. In that case, why only 6 people? They should have been able to kill a lot more. At worst, it should have been possible for them to assault everyone while they were sleeping and kill them in a single night. Why didn't they do that? The special clause. If someone manages to solve the riddle of the gold, their right to the interest will be lost. And remember how the letter ended. It challenged us all to solve the riddle of grandfather's gold. Jesus. It looks like we're finally understanding the culprit's message. In other words, the culprit's trying to tell us to try and solve the riddle on that epitaph grandfather had made. On top of that, they're saying that if we just sit around, they'll keep collecting the interest. I realize this is all based on several guesses that are way out there. But not everything that happens in this world fit together in a perfect line. But that's weird! Yeah, his banger drinks, so true! Red, you're so funny! Why did 6 people die on 6 Island? That's weird! Most of the events we don't understand are only individual points. By fitting them into a straight line, we're beginning to understand. When the points at either end of the line are really close, the line itself is more logical and easier to understand. And when those points are really far away, the opposite is true. It's the distance between these points that make us say our guesses are way out there. That's really fascinating. I think that's a really fascinating statement to make from a, like, storytelling, like a writing point of view, right? Because it's true. Like, if you're planning to... Like, I've never thought about things this way. Like, I've never thought about storytelling in this way. Because... I don't think I've truly ever written a mystery before. I think I excel at, writing emotional arcs. and stories that happen in a chronological order. I think it's very rare that I write things that have to go back in time and show information out of order. So I don't think I've ever thought about storytelling in this way before. However, if the distances we span are too narrow, that means our thinking will be too narrow too. But like, you can't just extrapolate. Is there a difference between making guesses and reasoning? Am I just using easily made guesses to try and force this crime into a pattern I can understand? No, that's not it. When you're lost in the darkness and searching around with your hands, what you're doing is relying on your imagination and making guesses. Isn't breaking stasis kind of a mystery? Like, I guess it kind of is, but like... I didn't think of it that way, though. Like, it was just like, okay, it's obvious to me. And I'm just, like, showing things and then showing Shinichi being confused by it. Um... I don't know, it's hard to say, like, I don't know, someone read Breaking Stasis and tell me how it feels to read it, because I don't know how it feels to read it. Only imagination can find the points that need to be tied together. Reasoning is nothing more than the act of drawing lines between them. If you can't imagine, you can't reason. What I'm doing now might be way out there, but I'm sure it isn't a mistake either. Only the power of imagination can pull clues out from the darkness. And then I can use the power of reasoning to tie those clues together. It was a lot like the process of searching out an enemy's weak spot and striking. It's okay if I'm way out there. Find a weak point first. Then we can think about how to strike. Right now is the time we can find points we can tie together later. Right now is the time to find points we can tie together later. Okay, true. We are gathering evidence. True, true, true. Okay, I'm literally hungry. How is everyone feeling? 2.5 hours. I think this is a great place to stop. I'm literally hungry, so I'm going to go get food to eat. Hashtag the hungry muncher. But yeah, yay, Umi. I'm glad that the connection got a lot better, later on. I figured it out. I figured it all out. Don't worry, everyone will be revived in the Golden Land. Oh, interesting. He's grayed out because he disappeared. However, he does occasionally go out for a walk on a whim without telling anyone, and his disappearance invariably leads to a huge uproar throughout the house. He usually comes back as soon as he gets hungry. Usually. Interesting. Okay, save. Yay. 2 hours is a good session. Thank you so much for streaming. So much fun. Yeah, yeah. I'm so happy. Like, see, we're so fucking back. My mental state is good, so I can stream. Yay. But yeah. Let's see. I don't know. How many people have we got here today? We have like 4 people here today, and like there's not anyone who's really streaming, so I'll just end it here. Thank you everyone for coming. Yay, I love you. I love everyone. Yay.